Hi, and welcome to Behind the Masc, a show where we talk about all things men. Welcome back. My name is Emmanuel, and I am your host. I'm a relationship coach, and today I'm joined by two amazing people. We have a guest today in the house. Come on, give it up for the guest. One, Caroline. And Caroline is someone who's surrounded by lots of men, has observed men all her life, and has many questions and just many perceptions. And she will share all of them here and ask those hard questions that we're hoping to hear. And our amazing resident and consulting psychologist, one Kevin, and it's good to have you guys here. Karibu sana, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
I'm well, thanks. And you?
I'm good. I'm living, loving, and loving living.
That's what's up.
Whatever that means. Awesome. So last week, I'd told you guys something. I told you guys, sorry, you weren't here. So Joseph was sitting and we were talking about, men and journaling and sharing their thoughts and blah, blah, blah. And I told them, I am scared of owning a journal, let alone writing in one. And I told them that next week, by the time we are shooting this show again, I will have gotten myself at least a journal. So good people, I am here to proudly tell you that I am the owner of a journal.
Have you written it?
I'm the owner of a journal. So I've only written one heading, and that's about it. But that's a step.
Yeah.
Grant me grace, guys. Grant me grace. At least I got the journal.
It's a start.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's good to have you guys, and at least there's some progress. This show is good for me.
Yeah.
If not for you guys, it's good for me. Excellent. So good people. Now today, let me tell you mine now. So over the weekend, I visited a good friend of mine, and we were enjoying a meal and stuff. So we are talking, and the premise of this group that we have started is a group where we get our kids who are the same age to come in and they learn life skills so that by the time they're getting out there, these kids first of all have a community who they're bonded with. Like back in the day we had family friends and we grew up with people. So we decided to intentionally do that because nowadays it doesn't happen.
True.
And then give them life skills so that they can go into this world and they can succeed.
Even that social capital, it's
yes, there you go. Then this guy tells us, hey, by the way, you guys, this is a good thing that we are doing because I was with this mzee and this mzee was telling me the way his kids, the son, two of them have moved back home and they have moved back to the room that they were staying in. Like the room they were staying, the room that they grew up in. And they didn't just move in there by themselves with their wives. Hey, yes, it was. I mean, I just couldn't fathom. I asked him, please explain this. I'm not comprehending what you're saying. And ladies and gentlemen, right now, there's actually an issue of a failure to launch. And this is what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
The reason it's a little bit passionate is because, again, I was talking to a friend today morning, actually, when this is being shot. And for them, they were telling me how they have a burden to take care of the brother's kids who have moved home, and the brother has moved home. Both brothers have moved home. And
with
this is actually,
or
well, one with their spouse, but one not with their spouse. But the kids have come home.
Right.
So now the family has the pressure of taking care of those kids. Well, this guy is jobless and is doing nothing to really take care of himself.
Right.
And guys, this is an issue that we are seeing, and it's quite rampant in today's day and age. I've heard it quite a bit, but that just hit me, how serious that was, because now I'm in that place. I'm looking forward to being an empty nester. Guys, I do not want my kids. By the way, I told my kids, I told them, the day you go to university, that's it. Please plan yourself. If you don't plan yourself, then be homeless. It's okay. You will learn. Even me, I've been homeless once. You will learn and figure it out. So guys, I need to ask you, and because I'm wondering what's going on. And I'd like for us to get to the bottom of this. what is happening
Yeah.
with the stages of life, the stages of growth?
Yeah.
Are they being followed or adhered to? Is there, what's going on? Why is this kid or this grown man seeing the need to go back to the parents' home?
Okay. I'll start. I think, of course, you know, socially there are those expectations, right? You know, you have a son, you expect them to go to school. Well, if you're gonna expect them to perform a certain way, that's okay. At some certain age, there's a rite of passage, depending on which, you know, culture you follow. That's between the age of 12 and 14, around there. After that, unaenda high school, finish high school, go to university. Some people don't really go to university, but that's okay also. You go to university, you get a good job, you get married, you have kids, and you continue with your life.
So that's the rite of passage that you've actually said, that as we know it.
That is the social expectation or the social construct, yes. However, not everyone is following that right now, right? And you know, there are things that are in our control, there are things that are out of our control. Like for example, the friend you were talking to about how he was saying his sons have gone back home, right? Now, we don't know if it was an issue that was in his control or not that caused that, but I think you mentioned that he's jobless now.
No. Let me tell you. No, that's for the one for this morning. The other one for the other one is because the father has a home in a nice part of this city, which is in leafy suburbs, and that home is big, and the father is alone. And why are you alone? Let me bring you company. That is what the problem is. Yeah.
Okay, so just to mention a few things that I've seen that could interfere, right? One is mental health. There are people who are afflicted with mental health conditions that are causing a disruption in their functionality. For example, depression, schizophrenia, substance abuse. You can find that this can progress to a level that you're not able to function or even maintain your job or maintain your relationship. So if it's not treated or nothing is done or any intervention, right, you can, you know, regress, and you can find that you are in a situation that you have to go back home, right? Other people, they're trying to find a purpose, right? I don't think we're living in an age of survival anymore. You know, people are trying to find a purpose, and some people haven't found it. So as a result, they're stuck and they feel like they can't move. So I think those are some of the reasons that could be contributing.
Are stages of life like really defined now? Like you know, when I think of our parents, or sorry, let's even forget our parents, our grandparents. Our grandparents grew up in, you know, back home, wherever you are from. And they were in clans, you know, things like that. The men at 13 were all taken to the river. Skin was cut off and were, you know, told, stay here. In other tribes, we chase a lion. And we bring back a lion, and we are told we are a man now. And there were so many things. Are stages of life defined now?
Not as much as they were before, but I think there are some things that are standard.
Okay.
You may not go to go to kindergarten, primary, high school, college, and then get a girlfriend, get married, and all that. But I think there are some things that are standard, especially in terms of becoming independent, in terms of taking care of yourself, in terms of taking responsibility for yourself, in the sense that you may not go through these stages as they were before, but you need to reach a point where you're buying your own food. You are paying your own rent. You can tell I'm old school, but so it doesn't have to be high school, university, job, whatever. But even if you want to get a job on the internet and be a YouTuber or whatever, get out of your parents' house, pay your own rent, buy your own food, be a YouTuber.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think I agree with you guys. There's actually a social construct, as you said. And there's a way that we do things,
Yeah.
and it's expected.
Right.
We have gone through it, and I think we are all living in our own homes, independent of our parents, and that's what technically is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, then what do you think, or where did the rain start beating? Where is the problem that, you know, has disrupted this social norms construct that we are supposed to follow?
Well, like I mentioned before, mental health, but also to add on that, right? I've heard many people talk about a fear of rejection. There are many men out there that are afraid to go for certain opportunities, or rather leave their parents' house or things like that because they're afraid of rejection, especially if they've faced rejection a lot, you know, growing up. So they'll have this narrative of, there's no point in me doing, what's the point? I'm just going to get rejected if I do this. Even a fear of failure, you know, especially amongst men, it's a very big
issue.
You know, it's a very big issue. And failing, you know, for some men, failing is as good as just not existing, you know. So those fears, I think, are playing a role. There's also things like unemployment as well, right?
But just think about it even from a child,
right?
When you're a child,
unemployment
becomes more of a reality, you know, once you get to a certain stage.
Yes.
So as a kid, where is the system broken so that we're not following the stages of life? Because I feel like there's a foundation part, and it starts from when you're a kid.
Definitely.
Nurturing. Nurturing, yes. So what has happened that system is broken so that we're not seeing kids grow up in the social construct. I love that word, so I'll use it like 400 million times. Social construct, growing up in the way that they're supposed to go, so that they can do and achieve, become independent and be successful. What has happened?
Okay. I'll let Caroline give perspective.
For me, I'll go back to parents.
Parents.
Parents. Parents are busy. Don't invest the time and energy into their children. So you're both working, you're busy, you're maybe traveling, you're trying to make ends meet, or you're trying to move up in life, move from whatever estate to wherever and into the leafy suburbs finally. So people are busy. So when you talked about our grandparents and our parents, the whole community was investing in this person.
That's true.
Right now, I'm in my small house with my 3 children. If I don't invest in these children, then nobody else will. And these children are not part of a larger group in a community where there's somebody guiding and, you know, doing all that. So for me, I think the breakdown came with parents because of the pressures of modern life. So the children are left to gadgets, they're left to TV, they're left to, you know, all that. And I think also because of those pressures of being very busy and very maybe even stressed out when you get home, there's also a certain permissiveness, or you kind of allow the children to do whatever, because you yourself don't even have the energy, even to discipline. I think discipline is a big thing, is a big issue. Modern society or not, discipline is a thing that needs to be present. So even to discipline, so it's easier to give in to children. It's easier to give in because you need a lot of energy to invest in you know, saying no. Saying no is difficult to children. And to say no, then you have to invest more to explain. You have to be able to take whatever comes from that child, whether it is tantrums or whatever. So you need to be more present physically, but emotionally. And you also need to be intentional. Because now you're alone with your children, There are no, the rest of the community isn't there. So for me, it boils down to parents. It may not be the only factor, but I think it's a major factor.
Let me tell you, you've said something very, very, very powerful. We constantly talk about charity begins at home. And we love to use this and throw it rampantly, like, oh, charity begins at home, charity begins at home. But where charity begins at home and what is actually happening on the ground, there's a huge disconnect. I was at a wedding. I was at a wedding and I was sitting at this table, and this table had the parents, the uncles and aunties of the one of the bride or the groom. And on this table, they were all talking about their kids, and they're talking about their kids and how their kids have become so liberal, so modern, all these things, all these things. And these guys turn to me and they ask me, Pastor, what are you in the church doing? Hey. I was like, parents, don't try me today. Today is not the day. Today is a day of happiness. Don't try me. Pastor, what are you guys teaching them in church? And I said, actually, for me in the church, I question myself, what are they learning at home? And what are the parents doing? Because the things I hear are very discouraging from their homes. First of all, you parents, and that's how I put it, you parents are not available. You parents don't teach them or train them or give them values. You parents are not forming a bond or a relationship with your kids. They can't feel like they can talk to you. So the person they can talk to are their friends in school and their peers who, just like them, don't know. They're very ignorant. And I was just like, by the time I was done, those guys were all so quiet. They were all eating and they were just praying, can this guy just stop? Can this guy just stop? Let's just say, after my meal, I laughed a little and I excused myself. I excused myself.
You are not welcome.
No, it's not that I was not welcome. One of the older guys, he was quite engaging, but he tried to make the mood lighter, but I was just like, you're trying so hard. Let me just excuse you guys. So I excused myself and took my stuff and went, and I just left that bomb with them. But you could see how uncomfortable they were. And it was such a reality. How we have done. Parenting nowadays is actually satellite parenting. As you said, we are focused on
Other things.
work. Because the truth is, my Paso is not enough because Nani is driving a Prado. So I have to work hard to get that Prado. My job is not enough because it's not paying as much as X, School is not, my education is not enough. So I have to go and do another degree, another course. So I'm constantly out there pushing, hustling at the expense of my wife and my children. And my wife is a modern woman. She's not going to be left behind. She's pursuing her career. So guess what? The kids are being raised by the nanny.
I'll give you an example. You remember when Matiang'i was the PS for education?
Yes.
And that's when he introduced the 2 months of holiday at the end of the year. And do you remember the hue and cry from parents? From parents? That what are we going to do with children for 2 months? 2 months, So it's like the children belong to the school. And now they are being given these children for 2 months.
The school is supposed to parent.
Yes.
And then,
so that in itself tells you that parents really, to an extent, children are, I don't want to say a burden, but maybe a bit of a nuisance.
No, it's true.
An inconvenience. So this, how can a parent who asks, why are the children home for 2 whole months? Is that a parent who is thinking, these are 2 months for me to invest in this child? Is this a parent who is thinking, whatever has gone wrong, I have time to correct now? Is this a parent who is thinking, I can, impart some knowledge skills, values? No. This parent is get out of the way so that I can go and work.
Do my thing,
and buy that Prado and that whatever.
It's interesting. Even my peers during holidays, do you have activities planned out for the kids? Do you have activities planned out for the kids? That's basically them saying, I don't have time to spend with you. You go do your thing, and as you do your thing,
Just to offer a different perspective, do you think there's a positive disruption right now. Like, for example, you see, we're in the age of information, right? And a lot of these kids nowadays are getting quite intellectually, you know, they're getting information and they're getting insight, and at a very early age, right? And you're finding even 7-year-olds having conversations that you'd expect, you know, 12-year-olds to have, right?
Yeah.
So there's also that other side of,
Yeah.
of the disruption that is happening, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a beautiful thing that minds are being stimulated,
Yeah.
and people are exercising and going farther than what they would. My kids know way more than I knew at their age.
Yeah.
As in the amount of information that they have inside.
Right.
But my concern is that information is amazing, but
Right.
not all information
Exactly.
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah, within reason.
Within
yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for that. We are continuing this conversation. Do not go. Join us right after the break. Welcome back to the show. This is Behind the Masc, a show where we talk about all things men, and we're having a conversation about men and failure to launch. And the conversation has been quite heated, the conversation has been quite deep, but it also has been quite informative.
Yeah.
And just before the break, we were talking about information and the information age and how, you know, it has affected, you know, the men and the stages and stuff.
Right.
Now, I need to ask you guys, does there need to be then a conscious effort or intentionality in recreating these stages of life that not just men, but kids or children go through?
I agree with the how. It's about the how. And I also read a lot on how to, you know, interact with adult children. And it's not about me giving you instructions. It's not about me telling you what to do. It's about me having a conversation with you. And it's about me treating you like an adult. It's about me, for example, there are times when my son will come late, you know, and we know that we have a curfew. And I will not attack him at the door. You know, when he was small, you come from school and I'm like, what, you did this, you were supposed to come home, you were supposed to get from the school bus, get into the door. What were you doing in between? Why did you take 15 minutes from the school bus to the door? But now, when my son comes late, I treat him like an adult. I greet him, I allow him to pass, go to his room, and maybe even have a conversation the next day. And the conversation will not be about you did. The conversation may even be like, you know, when you come late, it worries me. You know? It worries me. Because this road ABCD. So I am treating him like an adult, but we are having that conversation. We are having that conversation.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're having that conversation, but even the way you said it, you realize if it's some children, they're just like, I'm a grown man. Why are you worried
Yeah,
about me?
yeah.
Leave me
There's-
alone. You're smaller than me.
There's an 18-year-old ego.
You see,
Exactly.
so that's why I'm saying
Yeah.
your job until they're 18 is one, to be able to, you know, instruct them and give them tools to succeed in life. But in giving them those tools, you need to create a environment where they know this is a resource that I can come to. And a lot of people don't know that their parents are a resource. First of all, their parents are dated, their parents talk down to them, their parents will judge them and judge the way they're thinking. So the parents become obsolete.
Okay.
You see?
So
And-
what?
Yeah,
and-
but,
so-
but I still have a but. I still have a but. When this young man comes late and I have this conversation with him, I am preparing him for the day he is married and his wife is waiting for him.
No, there's no
So
problem
if I
with that.
do
I
not
agree
have
with
that
it.
conversation because he's over 18, then I'm not preparing him for the next stage in life, because there is no cutoff point. You cannot say that the day my son or my daughter turns 18, even we said children are different, isn't it? So there's a son of mine who at 18 is so mature, and there's a son who at 18 is not yet there in some areas. Yeah, the fact that the government says 18 or psychology says 18 or whatever does not negate the work that as a parent or the input or the influence that I need to deposit in this young man.
That's true.
So, and I can think of, for example, some things my mother told me when I was getting married. I was getting married at almost 30, isn't it? But there are some things she told me. The fact that I was an adult working and all that does not mean that she could not add value.
But
to
why
my
was
life.
she telling you? Because she had your ear and you were close to her.
Yeah.
That's the
So
difference.
are my children.
All right. Now, if your children are close to you, it's
Yeah.
important to be able to do that. However, you also have to recognize that when you're talking to a male as a woman, there's a difference and there's a way he looks at life and there's a way he looks at you and your thoughts. So it's always important to have that and to be able to engage with him from that level.
Okay. I'm not a male, so
I
I cannot
know.
speak into
No,
that.
no,
But I'm a mother.
I understand. I understand
I
that.
cannot speak into being
I
a
understand
male.
that. And I think that's where the disconnect happens, which I feel that's where the men within society need to be able to speak to that person. Because when a father speaks, the boy will automatically listen.
True, I agree.
All right? And
I
it's
agree.
not in a bad way. It's just because this is somebody who has, I guess, the same whatever as he does.
I
That's
agree.
assuming
That's assumed.
that they have the
relationship.
boy like respects the father or sees value in what the father says or does.
But
Because
no, I was
there are
talking
those-
about this situation.
You see, Emmanuel,
Because
there
I'm saying
are
the
men-
opposite.
there are men who are raised by single mothers. And these men, some of them are productive, many of them are productive members of society. And there are men who are raised with fathers, and the fathers were destructive. So it is either way. I don't think anything is cut in stone. I think the approach, this is a child you have raised from birth, isn't it? So yes, I am conscious that he is a man. And I have already told my husband at a certain stage in teenage, I told him, now these guys are more your responsibility. You need to spend time with these guys. You need to, not think of work. You're more of an influence on them than I am. Yeah? But at the end of the day, male or female, any parent can influence you positively. Any parent can influence you positively.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yes.
What I'm trying to explain to you is there's a certain point somebody begins to see themselves as an adult. And when they begin to see themselves as an adult, it's important for you to be able to change the way you approach them, the
For
way
sure.
you talk to them, the
I
way
agree.
you communicate with them,
For sure.
the way you allow them to do their thing. I'll give you a good example. For me, I always wanted to be a pastor and a minister, of the gospel. Praise the Lord. I always wanted
Amen.
to do that. But my parents never ever wanted to hear that story. They did not want to hear that story. Do you know how I ended up doing it? I conned them. I told them, they told me, we want to take you to the US, choose a university. I chose a Christian university in the Bible Belt. Then they asked me, what do you want to go and do? I said, I want to go and do international business and international relations. So why have you chosen this school? Why don't you go to this big school? I said, these big schools are expensive, one. But two, I've heard when people go to these big schools, they get lost in the fray, people backslide, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Hassan, you're a very smart guy. You're a very smart guy. I actually snookered them, and they gave me money to go to school.
Yeah.
And when I got to school, only the first year did I do prerequisites for first 2 years, international business and international relations. After that, I did my own thing.
Yeah.
And it had to be them coming all the way to the US to apologize for the way they treated me, because they treated me like a kid. Now, most men, when they get to a certain age, they are fighting for their freedom. This is why people say they're becoming rebellious. These children of nowadays, they're rebellious. It's not that they're rebellious. It's just that they feel suppressed and they want their freedom. So in wanting their freedom, they end up doing all these things.
And they're in the age of self-discovery.
And they're in the age, of self-discovery. So if you as a parent don't allow them to self-discover and don't create that whatever so that you can talk and continue shaping their mind, then you totally lose them. So, and that's what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about 18, until 18, I can tell you what to do and whatever, but once you get to 18, and it's neither here nor there, because 18 to 24, your mind, the front part of your mind forms by the age of 24. So you do have that whatever to still influence them, but it's just influencing them differently.
For sure.
But creating that space for them to be able to come.
That's the how. I agree. I also think, even as we are talking about failure to launch, my personal opinion is that sometimes these young men want to have their cake and eat it. So you want to be treated as an adult. You do not want to be asked when you come home, but the car you're driving has been bought by your father. He is fueling that car. He is servicing that car. You're walking into your mother's house, you are eating her food. So you need to decide, what does being an adult mean? Does being an adult mean that I do what I want, that you do not have authority over me, and that you cannot, you don't have an input? And yet, I want to be independent only when it suits me. I want to be independent in the sense that, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing. But I am not independent in taking care of myself. So when we talk about being an adult, for us, in my generation, being an adult came with taking responsibility.
And accountability.
Yeah? Being accountable, but also taking responsibility. I feel that this generation, being an adult means, let me do what I want. I am independent. Totally wrong. But it does not come with responsibility. So the two go hand in hand. And what you realize is the more responsible someone is, like these young men, if this young man finishes school, finishes their college, or if they don't do college, gets a job, starts earning money, and says, I want to go and rent my own small place. That is taking responsibility. That is saying, I am an adult. But coming into my house late and refusing to, and you don't want to be asked why you came late, is not being an adult. So you have to be an adult by your actions, by the way you think, by the responsibility that you take, by taking care of yourself. Then we can see that you're an adult.
That is why the moment they go to college, that is it. They're not coming back to their house. Say, your mother, the moment she went to college, she started her life. Your father, the moment I went to college, that's the when I started my life. So before you go to college, make sure you do whatever you need to do within the context of this house. Because once you leave, you're only coming here for Sunday, visit, for lunch. We will cook for you. We will cook for you. We will entertain you, young man. We will do all of that. However, go back to where and get your responsibility. Figure your life out.
True. And we need to allow them to do that.
And we need to allow them to do that, yes. And pray that the things that we have taught them and the values that we have taught them have actually been very helpful. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. That was a very deep and hearty conversation. I really enjoyed it. And thank you guys for sharing and being open and real and authentic. I love it. I love it. That's what we do here at Behind the Masc. Till next time, this is your host, Emmanuel. Thank you for tuning in.